provide value to you. Also, of course, in the Q&A to make our experts available to you folks for any key questions that you might have. We're happy to try and address those. So to that vein, even if there's a specific question that might not be specific to what we covered that you might have, feel free to enter it in. If we can't answer it or have time to answer it right now, we'll be happy to get back to you directly afterwards. And then, of course, there are many of you online who are customers of ours and have been in our webinars before, but some of you may not know us, Clear Insight, and so it's our opportunity to introduce ourselves to you. And with that in mind, just very quickly, we are, of course, an IBM business partner focused on the Office of Finance, and as bullet one there, circle one is budgeting, planning, and forecasting is a key element, and of course, with the Clarity products and folks like Bob and others that we have online in our business who are ex-Clarity, ex-IBM, with the expertise in Clarity, but of course the expertise as well in the various Cognos suite of products, Cognos TM1, Cognos Express, BI, etc. So we also help in the business intelligence. We're carrying expertise in Cognos Disclosure Management to help with FSR and CDM. We're happy to be working now with predictive capabilities with a number of clients, with Watson and with SPSS, and then also on the risk compliance, and it's always to help you folks and our clients achieve better outcomes and be more efficient in the Office of Finance. So that's what we're all about. And just before I turn it over to Bob on the next slide, I just wanted to bring you up to speed on Clarity 7 that some of you may not be aware of. You'll be well aware 7.2.0 was released way back September 2011, and that's kind of a key date of when the version 7 came out. And then the various fix packs, 7.2.1 and the fix packs through to July last year, which was really just a second fix pack 2 to support Excel 2013 that you may or may not be aware of. And then some of you may or may not be aware that just in June of this year was Fix Pack 3 was released. And we're happy to send this link to you and make that accessible to you and answer any questions you might have around Fix Pack 3 that was just released. So IBM is continuing to support Clarity from an operating system perspective, but as you know, not providing new enhancements to it. But good news for all of us is they are supporting it to keep it alive and working for all of you. So with that said, I want to turn it over to Bob, and today's topic is the topic of copying a report and traffic lighting, and I think Bob might be touching on a few other things as well. So Bob, I will turn it over to you now.
Great, thanks Ian. So yeah, so today I'm going to talk about two very common questions that we get, copying a report from one place to another, and also traffic lighting. So copying a report can be fairly straightforward. So here we're looking at Windows Explorer. This is, the path up here is kind of important. It's the Clarity Systems, Clarity Server, Web. This could be templates or reports, but here I'm using templates, and then wherever the files exist. So here I'm going to use my example file here. Anytime you copy something within Clarity, there's really two files to be concerned about. So when it comes to Clarity 7, there's a .template file, and then there's also an XLS file. Now for older versions of Clarity, it would be a .xml with a .xls file, but you need both these files here. So if I flip over to Clarity, you'll see I have my Lunch and Learn folder here, and I've got just this one folder item right now. Another thing to check is that on the folder or where we're going to copy these to, you often want them to be set to dynamic build. So here I'm looking at the menu item, and this is my Lunch and Learn folder. It's a top-level item set to dynamic build, and this particular folder is templates/Lunch and Learn folder, and it's enabled. So what that tells me is that if I go to the file system and I take these two files, I copy them, and I have a new folder here. This is the copy folder. So when I paste them here, note when I go back to my main screen, I don't see the copied folder here. So I have copied them, but I don't see them yet. Now, a couple different ways to refresh your screen is from the menu administration view here. There's a button on the left-hand side to refresh the main window. You can also hit Control F5, will refresh the entire screen. The challenge with that is if you have other tabs open with reports or templates, you'll lose those. And another quick way of doing it, if you just right-click on the very top pane here, the top frame, you can just refresh just this top frame. And by doing that, it'll rebuild the menus at the top. And now you see that, okay, it's picked up that I've copied a new file into this folder, and it's set up the menu item for that. So all we really had to do was copy these two files into the folder and make sure that the menu structure is working fine. So that's copying a report. Now, I want to go over to the traffic lighting piece. Now, for traffic lighting, so traffic lighting allows conditional formatting depending on the values in cells. So we're going to do a quick and simple walkthrough of how to apply it, but also discuss some of the more advanced topics. So here, let's look at a starting template. Here, this traffic lighting start one. So here we have just 6 accounts across 2 years, and we want to know the change. So it's a simple math to say A minus B to figure out our change. But looking at it in black and white, it's not immediately obvious what's actionable from this data. It's just a grid of numbers. So traffic lighting helps surface really what's actionable. So we're going to take this one here. I have it already open in Clarity Studio. I've got all my row ranges and column ranges already set up with data. If I go to my Features tab, so I'm looking at the Features tab along the left and also the Features ribbon along the top. Now you'll notice there's one here that says Traffic Lighting. So once I click Traffic Lighting, it'll add that feature to my list. So there's the feature, and it's already set me up with a base rule. So I'm going to give it a name. And it's going to ask me for a couple of references here. So if something is less than this value or number or reference, or it's between, and it shows this formatting. If it's between, it shows this formatting. If it's greater than this reference here, then it will apply that formatting. And then they may seem like 3 rules, but that's really collectively 1 rule. And you want to know, where do we apply this to? So in our case, if we've got, if we want to say that if the value is less than -1, let's show that as maybe let's use a red fill. So that's going to be a red fill, and it gives you a quick description of that, or show of that. And then if I want to say if this is greater than 1, then maybe let's show that as a green font. Okay, let's do green fill here. It's also going to ask me, where do I want to apply this? So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll pick the column first. So you see I have my current year selected, and I want to apply it to that. So when I click this drop down, it already asks me to select my range. My range is already selected, so I can just click OK. It knows it's going to apply this to column I. So this is going to look at this range here, and if, oh, pardon me, let me move that over 1. So I want this to apply to the change. So I want to make sure it applies to column J. It applies to the change. Now when I save this, and I go back to Clarity, now when I run this, note that we've got green and red here. Now, because this is a short luncheon, I'll just talk to the next point. A lot of you are going to look at this list and say, well, if I've got if my revenue is going up, well, that's good. But if my costs are going down, that's also good. So when it comes to traffic lighting, there's also a consideration. You can't just look at change. You have to look at favorability. So I have another report here that I'll show you. It just follows the very same steps. Rather than looking at the change column here, it looks at a favorable column. You notice how this one here, make it a little bit larger. Oh, can't quite do that. But for these accounts here, this is a mix of revenue and expense accounts. If we only look at the change, we see that we've got a negative change here and positive change here, depending on. But here for favorability, they're all favorable. So my revenue has gone up of all 3 accounts. My expenses have gone down in all three accounts, all of these are favorable. So you can put in a formula here to look at properties or attributes or even just account names. So this could be a simple formula to say, look at anything that says it starts with COS. And I'll show you here. So in that final one that's being done, so for this particular one, the favorable change, all it is a simple formula. So it's saying if the left three characters is COS, then do the difference this way, otherwise do it the other way. So hopefully we're sticking to time here, and what I wanted to showcase is that we can copy a report very quickly within Clarity by making sure we include both files and we check the menu items. I'll show this on the screen here and make it a little easier. So we copied a report. For copying a report, we copied to any particular folder, both the XLS and .template. For older versions, it's .xls and XML. Check that the menu item is set to dynamic build. Refresh the screen or just top frame. For traffic lighting, it's really conditional formatting. We're looking at a simple listing of six accounts. We want to know which ones are actionable. It'd be nice to highlight the ones which have gone up or down. And then we did consider about favorability. So Ian, with that, being conscious of people's time, I want to pass it back to you, and then if you want to wrap up, we can let people go on with their day.
Excellent, Bob. Thanks. Fantastic getting through that quickly. Time flies when you're having fun, so we're almost at the 15-minute mark. We do have one question that did come in, Bob, if you are able to answer that. And the question is, can you save your Excel file as something more recent than XLS to improve functionality, i.e. formulas, etc.? So I'm not sure if that means can I save it to an XLSX or, but that's the question, Bob.
That's a great question. Yes, you can save it as XLSX. As Ian mentioned, one of the most recent updates that they had is support for Excel 2013. So one thing to check is that the version of Clarity that you're using supports whatever version of Excel you're using. I think support for Excel 2010 has been around for several updates, but if you're using Excel 2013, support for that only came out June of this year.
Okay, terrific. Thanks, Bob. So we're conscious of your time, and we said 15 minutes. Now, I think most of you have my email address, ian.margerison@clearinsight.ca. So I would welcome your input, any questions that you might have coming out of this. If you're looking for we did record this webinar, so we're happy to make the recording available to you as well. If you want to go through this on your own time again to kind of follow it, because it was relatively quick. So thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to having each of you online next Tuesday for creating dynamic columns, and interested in any input and feedback you have. Thanks so much, and we'll let you go for the rest of your noon hour if this is your noon hour time. Take care, and bye for now.